good evening, and welcome to Real Fellas Talk Sports. I'm your host for this evening. My name is Larry Abels, and I have a distinguished panel of experts that will be giving you the latest sports news. So, without further ado, let me introduce them. I'm gonna start off with a longtime friend from my old neighborhood, Charles Chuck Snowden. How you doing, Chuck?
Hey, Larry, I'm wonderful, and I can't wait to get into this. We'll try to cut David off at some point when he's talking about the Pacers for about 15 minutes, but he deserves his flowers, and we're going to give it to him.
Okay. Next, our newest panel member, Greg Finner. How you doing, Greg? He's permanent, ladies and gentlemen.
I got my employee number, so I'm permanent now. I already talked to HR. Look, and the first night I'm taking a show on the road, broadcasting live from Glen Point Marriott in lovely Teaneck, New Jersey.
All right, glad to have you, brother. And last but not least, the loquacious one from Indianapolis, Indiana, David Burnett. How are you, David?
I'm doing great. 1967 is when the greatest team in professional basketball was founded. The Indiana Pacers, disrespected, but we're going to win the National Basketball Association Championship. You heard it here first.
Sorry for cutting you off, but let's get right into it. I'm gonna stick with you.
You might have to do that a lot today.
He's got a legitimate time to talk today.
I agree. I defer my time to him.
So, what was the key to this series right here? What do you think about the Pacers this year, David?
I think the ball movement. It's not getting enough credit. The ball movement is second to none in the NBA right now. And the coaching of Rick Carlisle, who's not getting enough credit for what he's doing. He's won a championship with Dallas. He's getting ready to win another one with the Pacers. I'm just hoping the rest of the country will finally accept that the best basketball is right here in Indianapolis.
Well, maybe if they win a couple of more rounds, people might see it that way.
8 more games. 8 more games. That's all we got.
Greg, what happened to Cleveland?
Well, so a couple of things. The number one thing that happened to him was Coach Kenny Atkinson. No strategy, no idea what he was doing, struggling to get the ball up court in 8 seconds, horrible inbound plays after a timeout. I just think that their rotation, they had no rotation on defense, no collapse, and nothing. And oh, by the way, Rick Carlisle coached rings around him. You asked me, the MVP for the Pacers in that series was Rick Carlisle, followed closely by Halliburton. Halliburton stepped up. I've questioned him up to now. He stepped up. I haven't seen anybody shoot the 3 ball like he shot last night since Steph Curry got hot. I'm telling you, he was amazing. So, no, I love how they played. They're scrappy. They're playing hard, and Carlisle is coaching his butt off. So, no, they earned it. And poor Cleveland. Oh God, Cleveland. They had one player, Donovan Mitchell. That was everybody else. I swear, Allen and Mobley are the only 2 big men I've ever seen that can take a nap standing up. They like horses. They sleep like horses. They can go to sleep standing straight up, knocked out. I mean, dead asleep. Like the game's passing them.
You don't think they play any good games? Like particularly Allen. You don't think he played well in any of the games?
Played really well. But here's the other thing: they spent. If you look at the night they were injured in street clothes, when the teams come to the bench, they jump up and run out there like cheerleaders. I'm like, okay, you telling me that you can come out like that and you can't give me 50%? You can't give me a Willis Reed limp up and down the floor? Give me something. But last night, they played well, but they have these periods where they disappear. They're this disappearing act, and they're not even on the floor, but they're so good. Mobley and Allen are so good, but they disappear, and I blame that on Atkinson. He's not keeping them engaged in the game.
Chuck, what's your spin on this?
I'll tell you what, Greg said it all. I thought that was really well said. Look, man, I know it's petty, and so I'm just going to say something real petty. I agree with Greg. If those 3 guys on that Wednesday, 2 of them had a hand injury, the other 2 one had a toe, one had an ankle, and all 3 sitting on the bench after they lost the first game in street clothes. But when there was a timeout, they could jump up and run and high five their teammates. Man, you could at least try. You could really try. Now, let's get back to the point of the thing. I think Rick Carlisle, I agree with Greg, and I think David touched on this too. I think Rick Carlisle is not getting enough credit. He has built a team that when they whip it around, because other teams can whip it around, but they make their shots, man. Good grief. Everybody on that team can shoot. They all, and in the fourth quarter, they knock them down. I'm so impressed at them right now in terms of how they handle themselves and the way they execute. It's pretty impressive. Even though I thought that was a tacky thing Matherson did when he punched Hunter in the.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was beautiful.
Wanted from that too, and kept it moving. So kudos to David. Kudos to his Indiana Pacers. Cleveland. Oh God, this is so disappointing.
Well, I mean, but for all the criticism of Cleveland, it's still kind of a backhanded way of not giving the Pacers enough credit. They're doing things that other teams are not doing. They're whipping the ball around. They're passing it. They're sharing the ball. 10 players were in double figures. 10 players. It's not given enough credit. The national media needs to catch up as well.
Let me throw something out at you guys. David, you're probably aware of this. Chuck and Greg, do either of you remember last year when the Pacers played the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yep.
And they got swept then, but all of those games were very close.
Mm-hmm.
You guys believe that they actually learned from something? They learned who they needed to beat, and they somewhat emulated them with the style of play. Do you see that in them, Chuck?
Yeah, it's a good question, a good point, Larry. I don't know, because I can't really figure it out, meaning, except for and David's right, they whip it around, but it's not just the whipping it around. They just don't miss their shot, those big shots. They just make them all of them, all 10 guys, no matter who's in the game, make shots. And that to me is so unusual. And so I don't know, maybe they did learn something. You're right, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, they're big. They don't really even have a big. I mean, Miles Turner is great, but they don't even have a backup big. They just spread the floor, shoot the ball, cut, move.
Thomas Bryant from your school.
I know, but we finally saw him for the first time yesterday. You know,
Well,
that's
that's
what I'm
all we
saying. No
needed
matter
to
who
see.
they have in the game, they knock their shots.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Boston was kind of like that team last year. You know, in this league, it's somewhat of a copycat when you have a lot of guys that can shoot. Greg, did you see a similarity that because I really think they learned from last year. I think a lot of people slept on that.
I think they learned a ton. I think they learned a ton last year, and they learned something. First of all, I think Halliburton learned that there's people are dependent on him, and he's got to step up. I think he's stepping up this year at the right times. Here's what I think they learned that the Celtics forgot. When you're not hitting the three ball, take your butt to the basket. The Celtics, 43.
We're going to talk about them in a minute. Hold on.
But just in comparison, they learned something that is when they're not hitting that three ball, go to the basket. They got strong players. They bang the basket hard, but they it's that playoff experience. It's no substitute for playoff experience, man. It's no.
That's what I'm kind of getting at.
Yeah.
David, how did you feel after last year, David, when they played the Celtics, despite the outcome of the series?
It was disappointing that they lost, but they fought. It's a learning process, as you guys are acknowledging, and it takes time. You know, Halliburton, who I've been very critical of, I embrace him, but I also am very critical. And taking it to the hole, like Greg was talking about, something that they needed to start doing. They don't just settle for threes. They got a lot of good shooters, but when it's time to take it to the hole, they do. Benedict Mathurin, who's a little spotty in terms of his anger and temperament, but he's a guy. At some point, he's going to get it, and he's kind of an X factor. And next round against probably
the Knicks.
I think he could be an X factor.
This is Greg's daughter, and she is absolutely outstanding. Hello, Miss Erica, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining, sweet
Absolutely.
daughter. Oh man, that's great.
One other thing I would throw out there about them that I think that I haven't heard enough about through the national reader. You guys know I'm a hoop head. What I see with them is they pressure people on defense full court.
Yeah.
And I think Cleveland had a good team. And even if Cleveland was kind of banged up, but that's what you should do when they wanted to come out there and play. I think that's what, if those three guys had played that day, I think they would have ate them alive. I think they would have ate them alive.
What you're saying, pressuring them full court was something they didn't do last season.
Right.
That's something that they picked up this season, and particularly as we headed into the playoffs.
Another call-out moment. Another Rick Carlisle
that's
moment.
coaching. That's
Another
coaching.
call-out moment.
You know,
Yep.
I give them credit. But at the end of the day, all of these things that you guys have said eloquently, they make shots, man. They make shots. They make timely shots. And it's just all the time. I'm very surprised at how well that whole group of them can make those shots. They
I just haven't seen anybody shoot like Halliburton shot last night before halftime. I mean, he took the spirit out of the Cavaliers. He took
Turner hit a big three late in the game too from the right side. What can I say?
I mean, last night when I saw it, I just knew it was a matter of time. I knew Cleveland was going to come out. They were desperate, but they're like Indiana's like a locomotive. The other problem Cleveland has is Cleveland wants to play fast. That's Indiana's game, and they can't play with them.
Yeah.
Well, Larry, I got to tell you, Cleveland have been playing well all year. They won 64 games, but Ty Jerome and last night Truce tried to fire the crowd, the team up before the game, and he goes 0 for 9. Yeah. Ty Jerome was terrible throughout the whole series. And
but who is Ty Jerome? Who is he? And Strus, who is he?
Ty Jerome. Hold on,
but Chuck,
hold on. Ty Jerome is a champion. He won a championship at UVA. He's a champion.
Well,
he plays with his other Cavalier. It's coincidence he and Hunter both now play for the Cavaliers.
Because I would ask the same question of your team. Who the hell is Matheson?
Let's back
Matherin. It's Matherin. Benedict Matherin.
Let's back up for a second before we get there.
Benedict Matherin.
Your thing is when I say they want to play fast. The two guys you named, particularly Ty Jerome, who I think was okay. He hit a couple of shots when he got in. He couldn't guard them. He could. I mean, they couldn't keep up with Indiana, and they couldn't play the slowdown game against them because the pressure that they put on them in the backcourt. It was a bad matchup for them. Yeah. And I'm not sure what the coach, if he could have done anything. I'm not sure if he could have done anything.
Well, the only other thing is Donovan is the only player on the Cavaliers that can create his own shot. Everybody else needs a pick or screen. They need something. Donovan can create his own shot, but Ty Jerome is great if you give him a pick and a clear shot at the basket. He's good, but he can't create. He can't create.
Well, also he doesn't help his teammates either.
I want to ask you guys a question before you leave this. There's been a lot of comparisons with Michael Jordan. Does Donovan Mitchell look like the human highlight film to anybody else would be?
Yeah,
he looks bigger than 6'2" or 6'1" or whatever.
He plays like he's 6'6".
I know he plays like he's 6'6". To be honest with you, he's unbelievable.
He's got great leaping ability.
I really think he should be in the MVP conversation. I think this is SGA's year, but he should at least be in the conversation.
But what has he won? He doesn't help his team. He's never been past the second round. Never.
What is SGA? SGA hasn't won anything.
His team is both of them teams played well this year. He's a great player. I mean, I can't.
He's a great player.
Yeah, I give him props. There's a lot of people that I think should also be considered other than the two that.
Well, and I think right now, other than Anthony Edwards, Donovan
Jonas. I think
the most explosive. But I mean, just explosive. These guys can take two steps and pow. I mean, they can go right past you. Ant-Man and Donovan. The other ones, you can kind of see them coming, but these cats, I mean, you give them a crack and they're gone.
There it is. What's up, Lauren?
Hey, Lauren, how you doing? Her brackets is short.
Should have bet on the Pacers.
The family affair tonight.
Nice, no doubt.
Okay, so let's move on to the Knicks and Boston series. Greg, what's going on in that series? And does Boston have a chance? Is it over with?
I think it's over. I think New York has claiming that series. I think obviously because of the injury to Tatum, that's deflating for them. But New York is actually outplaying them before that. They were actually outplaying them. And I think the key to the Knicks this year is you look at the scoring the other night. These guys are stepping up. Anunoby is stepping up. Hart is stepping up. Even Big Cat, when he's not being lazy and taking a nap and eating a sandwich on the bench, he is a super talent, but he gets so lazy on him.
Was that really necessary?
Yes, yeah. Because
Taking a nap and eating a sandwich.
Yeah, he looks like he can eat a sandwich from time to time. If you slip him a hot dog on the bench, he'll eat it. Yeah, he won't let it go to waste. But
David is. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think the Knicks are playing really balanced, and Brunson is getting some help. And Brunson, I was telling Chuck earlier, you look at like athletes like Saquon Barkley and some of these, look at their foot speed. Brunson's foot speed is so incredible. He loses people, and he's got a little body, but he makes you foul him. If he's taking a shot, he's going to make you foul him.
Which sometimes I hate about that, but because it messes up the flow. But he's great.
He really is.
David, New York is outplaying them according to Greg, but is New York really doing it, or is it Boston kind of Florida?
Boston is self-destructing. They had two games with a 20-point lead. 2 games with a 20-point lead. You can't just blow that, and all you do is shoot 3-pointers. What did they shoot that first game?
It was bad.
They were terrible.
60 or 70 3-pointers. Are you kidding me?
They missed what, 45?
43.
I mean, that's insane.
And they missed, like, they only shot I think they missed another 30 in game 2.
And they keep playing the same way. They got what they deserve. And I feel badly for Tatum. I ruptured my Achilles tendon 40-some years ago. It's a bad injury. Tatum is going to miss all of next season. He's not going to be the same for at least 2 seasons. And his game, I don't know. He may not be the same again.
Chuck, how do you feel about this series?
I don't think it's interesting. I don't think New York has outplayed Boston, except for in the fourth quarter, obviously. Because like you said, there were 3 games that had 20-point leads. But as we've given Carlisle a lot of credit for the way he's coached that team, and they put together that team, I think our guy here in Boston, I don't think he's done a good job coaching this group. I don't know. They believe in the science of the 3. They do. That's the way they play. That's how they played all year. And maybe they can't switch to some other style, but it's disappointing. Don't you have 3 20?
Don't you remember, Chuck? Don't you remember if you just go back one season, almost every game you would see Brown go down the middle and slam on the other team. Almost every game of the season.
Yeah.
He goes inside every now and then but it's mostly jump shots.
Yes. They just settle. And I don't know necessarily why, except that they believe the 3 is better than the 2. And that's just the way they played all year. And in this series, yes, they did make some early, I guess, because they had 20-point leads. But in the fourth quarter, they have been atrocious. And however, they won a big game Saturday in New York. That was huge. They played a good game. All of them stepped up. The box score was filled in terms of their players. And they came back the next night. Didn't play as well. So it wasn't that they played that bad, but Greg said it perfectly. Everybody on the Knicks team, OG, Bridges, Brunson, Hart, and Cat all scored well. And Brunson had 38.
So, Greg, I'm going to come back to you. What about coaching in this? Chuck mentioned it a second ago. David mentioned. What about coaching?
It's a factor, to a lesser degree, but it is a factor. Thibodeau is like, is it me or is he like the perpetual angry man? Is he just pissed off all the time? I don't think I've ever seen him smile.
He's not an angry black man, which we're going to talk about later, but
right. Yeah, we'll get to that. But I think that Mazzulla, I'm not sure Mazzulla. Here's what I think is happening to Mazzulla. And a lot of these teams have gotten these Harvard statistician type fellas to come analytics. in and they live and die by the analytics. It's the Oakland A's Moneyball concept that the analytics is what's got to drive what we do, and they're playing the percentages. So I think there's times when Joe Mazzulla kind of doesn't know what to do, but I think for the most part it's an analytics thing where they're going to live and die by that 3 ball because that's the one that can get them there. But when you throw up miss 43 three balls, and nobody goes to the basket, at what point does the coach say, "Hey guys, look, we got to go to the basket. This ain't working. This ain't working." And I don't see him doing that. I thought that he came into the job kind of, hurriedly, and he had to grow into it. And I thought he had grown into it when they won a championship. But this year looks like he might have regressed a little bit. So I'm not that high on Mazzulla.
What's up, Kung Fu? Thanks for hanging out, brother.
Yeah, Kung Fu, thanks for joining us. So, David, is it possible that Boston should have kept their coach and Cleveland should have kept their coach?
No, I mean, come on now. Mazzulla won an NBA championship.
Yeah.
He's still a young coach. He's still learning how to coach and handle players. But the Achilles heel for the Knicks in terms of coaching, Tibbs, what's always been the rub with Tibbs? He plays guys to death.
Yeah, he runs them in the ground. Yeah.
That's a media narrative, but have any of these guys looked tired at the end of the Knicks games?
Well, all I can say is when they play the Pacers, that's going to be an issue.
Well, we'll see.
It's going to be an issue.
Oh, yeah, because you know why? Because the Pacers, they're going to jack up threes on them.
Right.
They're going to run them. They're going to run them.
But they will wear anybody down. But no, I think, he gets a lot of bad press about that.
He's a good coach. No, don't get me wrong. I haven't
seen him, and they don't play the 8 or 9.
He's a good coach. He knows the game. He understands how to reach players. But I think he sometimes runs them into the ground. And I think that's an Achilles heel he's going to have to deal with come the next round, provided they get past Boston tonight.
I know that's a narrative. I just wonder if he's really had that great a team that I think they've lost because just like if they lose to Indiana, it's going to be because they got a better team.
They just got a better team.
Well, Indiana's better than the Knicks, and it's a perfect matchup because whenever Indiana gets in the playoffs and goes deep, who do they always play? The New York Knicks.
One of the things I look at with these coaches too is a few things that I judge them by. So if you watch them on defense, if their rotations and if they rotate well, if they help well, that's good coaching. If they go into a timeout and they struggle on the inbound play, that's a bad coach. That's a really bad coach. If they're struggling, because it means these guys don't know where to be.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know where they're supposed to be. Or they designed a very poor play. If you give most of these really good coaches, you give them a timeout, they're gonna put something together that's gonna spin you around. But when these teams come out of a timeout and don't know where they're going, that's bad coaching. They're not rotating, bad coaching.
The Cleveland coach did that multiple times. They came out of the timeout and couldn't get the ball in bounds.
How does that happen in the NBA?
Now, let me tell you about Boston real quick, too. Let's be honest. Boston could have, should have, in terms of probability, if you use the numbers, they should have won both those games in Boston that they lost. They were winning. They only lost the game by a couple points, both of them, and they had to get, they were looking good. I think they said that they were leading, the series 70% of the time. Or something
maybe even more than that. Yeah, maybe even more than that.
Maybe more than that. They just couldn't close the game because they settled on the three. So,
and the other thing, to your point, Chuck, they were shooting it early in the shot clock.
Yeah.
Remember the first game they lost in overtime, and the next game they lost at the last minute. If they had just held the ball a little longer on a couple of possessions, they would have won the game. Both.
And then the whole narrative would be different. He'd be a great young coach. He's doing great, etc. So it says to me that it's a miss or make. Again, back to the Pacers. It's just a miss or make thing, and the Pacers right now are making their shots. We're going to talk about OKC and Denver, I know, but the same thing at the end of that game. You just got to make your shots, and if you make your shots, you'll win. If you don't, not so much.
Well, I got you here, Chuck. What do you think about Minnesota and Golden State?
Can I make one comment about the Boston, New York thing? We were talking about this. I think, we were talking earlier. I think Greg said something about maybe Donovan Mitchell should be in the MVP discussion. I think Brunson is underrated. I know we were saying that Halliburton was voted the most underrated player or overrated player. I think Brunson is underrated. What Brunson is doing in that frame of his, the way he does it, especially at the clutch time. And Larry, you and I were talking about this a week ago in terms of the Detroit series too. he just be making plays, man, and it don't make sense sometimes how he be making them plays.
But
So I
in
think-
fairness to you, you talk about his frame. He's a solid, thick guy.
yes,
Mhm.
He'd be a fullback in the NFL. So he's solid, he's squat, and he's strong, and that
And it's-
matters.
And there's very few players that use their body as well as he does
Mhm.
to make you foul them. His body is always between the defender and that ball, always.
big body Brunson. But he makes shots though. He uses that. He makes shots, man. Sometimes he be shooting some deep threes, and I go, no, bang.
He's a
I thought
great
he did.
player.
I thought he
He's
played
a
well
great
his
player.
last year in Dallas.
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't
it's just
see it with
amazing.
him when he left
Look, he
Dallas.
rolled out the game. Looked like he played good in Dallas, but he looked like he had a sprained ankle. It looked like he's getting ready to go out the game, goes into the tunnel, comes back out, never misses a beat. I think Brunson should get more credit.
He gets enough credit because he's in New York.
Well, and because he
Come
kinda-
on now.
Your boy Halliburton made the Olympic team. This kid didn't.
Look, Brunson has got to earn his time. He's getting his recognition now. He's in New York. He's playing in the Garden. So I mean, what else do you want him to have?
I think he gets some recognition, and I think his opponents know what's up when they play against him.
Brunson is a dangerous player.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
So Chuck, tell me about Minnesota and Golden State.
Well, obviously, Golden State misses Steph, but I think I think Minnesota was going to beat them with Steph. I do. That Minnesota team showed me something against the Lakers. Here's the thing: that trade, when they picked up Dante and when they picked up Julius Randle, along with McDaniels and Naz Reid and Ant and so forth, and Gobert has a specific role he plays on that team. They got some players, man, and they're long and they're good. So I thought they were going to beat them anyway. And of course, without Steph, they're definitely going to win. And I think they're going to be a formidable foe.
What's up, Jeff?
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, Jeff, thanks for joining us.
I think they're going to be a formidable foe, whoever they play in the Western Conference.
Say that 3 times real fast for me. Formidable flow.
I think they're going to be. I like them. They showed me something against the Lakers. They did, and I mean, I didn't even know who this McDaniels guy was, and he played really well against the Lakers, and he's played well in the series as well.
Greg, what do you think of this series?
So my message for the Warriors is right now, Bass Pro Shop has got a good sale on fishing poles, bait, and tackle boxes. They can hustle on over there, get a good deal, and go ahead and book your fishing trip because the season is over. It's over. And again, I always thought that even when Steph was out, they could kind of make do and hold together. They look lost without Steph. They're lost. And Minnesota is a really good team, but again, they're not that well coached either. They're not a very well coached team, but Warriors going fishing. Yeah, going fishing.
I know you're really going out on a limb with that, but what's up with Jimmy Butler? Has he played below your expectations, or
so Butler's Robin? Steph is Batman. Butler's Robin. He's a good Robin. He's a really good Robin, but he is Robin. He's not Batman. And
has he been Robin? Has he even played to Robin standards?
Has he? At times, not consistently, but at times, yeah, at times. And he's another one that, sometimes Jimmy Buckets goes a little dormant on you sometimes. But when he's not, man, he's incredible. But I don't know what zones out on these guys. They just zone out from time to time. There's very few, if you really watch these playoffs, there's very few players that are focused for every second, every minute of the game. A lot of them will zone out on you. Even Jaylen Brown will drift out on you. He'll drift away. He'll think about other things, but most of them are not focused every second of the game. Most of them are not.
I see a little differently than you. I see intensity from everybody. David, is 9 shots enough for Jimmy Butler?
No. He's a media creation. He's a good player, but his reputation has been pumped up so high, you can't live with it. He's 35 years old. He's occasionally injured. He plays hard, but he can't be the leader of a team. He's not even really Robin. He's Robin Jr.
So wait a minute, Chuck. What did you think of him when he
Well,
played
he's
for
wrong,
Miami?
David. That was the worst. That's your worst take tonight, David.
When he played,
That's
Yeah,
not
he
a worse
took a-
take.
he
It is
took a-
accurate.
Hold on. let me
He
get
is
my-
what he is. Let me
He
finish my
took a
thought.
Miami Heat team to the NBA Finals.
Let me finish my thought.
Okay.
You've spoken.
I had
I'm just-
asked him, David. I thought you were done. I had asked Chuck. Go ahead.
all I can say is Jimmy Butler is a pretty good player, but I think his ability to lead a team is overinflated. Golden State has run its course in terms of being a great team. They are a popular team, probably the most popular team outside of the Lakers in the country. But Steph Curry ain't walking through that door right now.
Right.
Limping through that door.
Well, he is, but he's just not putting his uniform on.
Yeah, yeah. And they're waiting for Superman, and Superman ain't showing up.
No.
Chuck, go ahead
And
and
they're
say what you
small.
want to say.
I was saying that Jimmy Butler led a team. Look, they beat Milwaukee a couple of times over the last few years in series in the East. And it was him that was leading that team made up of Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero and Bam and so forth. So don't say he ain't. I mean, he might
He's
not
a
be
good
Bat-
player.
he might not be
He's a good
Batman, but
player.
He's definitely a step up from Robin. He's a tough guy. Now, Father Time might have caught him a little bit, right?
That's what
And
I-
he tore
that's-
his butt bone, and I don't know if that's still lingering in terms of his injury. But Jimmy Butler is a player. There's no question, and he's got a record to stand on.
Yeah, I thought Father Time
Hey.
might have caught up with him too,
And his record is warped.
but he's been playoff. He's been a playoff peak. He's really showed up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Father Time, like Chuck just mentioned.
Good day. Yeah.
So let's move on to this last series. And I'm gonna start with you, Greg. Denver against Oklahoma City. Have the players been zoning out in that series, or they're a little more in tune here?
Yeah. So OKC again. The coach is not. He's 6 feet tall and 10 feet of water. He's in over his head. He can't manage this team down to the wire. And the big surprise for me is Denver. I thought Denver was going to be done when their coach got fired. They're playing inspired basketball. And I will also say that the best Joker and what's the other guys? They're the best.
SGA.
For the
Murray,
Yeah, Murray.
Murray, the best two-man tandem in basketball right now. No two players can read each other's thoughts the way these two guys do. They can almost complete each other's sentences. And I don't even know if they're friends, but I'm telling you, they play so well together, and that's what's beating. OKC almost lost the game, not last night, but the night before that. They almost lost that game, and back and forth down in the last 3 and 4 seconds, we're still going up and down the court. It's like this, you guys. It's not. He's not coaching at the level that they're playing in OKC. OKC should win this series, but I'm telling you, they're going to come out of there bludgeoned.
don't you think they're playing a pretty good team? I mean, it's not like
They are, but they're a better team. OKC is a better team. They're a better basketball team than Denver, and they're just not. I mean, Denver. You got Murray, Joker, and the other big guy. When you get beyond them, you know, Junior, he'll hit a 3 ball in a big moment, but they don't have the players that OKC has, and they don't have the young legs and horses that OKC has. They should be. They're playing well, but the coach is not coaching up to their playing skill level. I don't think he is. And again, no ring, no job for him. No ring, no job.
Chuck, what do you think of this series?
So I think they're like Denver reminds me a little bit of the Knicks. It's important and Pacers do this. It's important for Denver to have their starting 5 box score to be everybody in double figures. And when they're not, that's when they fall short. In other words, if Michael Porter is not hitting his shot, it's a problem. If Braun is not hitting his shot, it's a problem. The game last night against OKC, and OKC showed me something because they closed that game with SGA and the bunch. They made their shots. and Denver missed. I think Denver was 0 for 7, 0 for 9 down the stretch, something crazy like that. And SGA and OKC made their shots. So,
let me give a shout out to my former co-worker, Reverend Nigel Felder.
Nigel, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Nigel,
Good to see you.
like the name too. That's a cool name, brother.
Hey, great editor, great pastor now.
So I just think sometimes, again, the theme you hear from me is shot making at critical times in the game. Denver did not. OKC did. But I think they're about even, the two of those teams, in terms of it's one of my favorite series right now, that Denver OKC series. I love watching that. I've watched every minute of it. And it's competitive, it's quality. And they got Denver's a champion team. So you're going to have to knock them out. And OKC is up to the task, at least so far. And I'm impressed with that.
David, what's your take on it?
First of all, SGA is not playing like a superstar right now. That's number one. Number two, I see some cracks with Oklahoma City. They're not playing like the team that won 68 games this year. There are a lot of flaws to the way they're handling the ball. There's a lot of dribbling around. They're not moving the ball the way they should. Holmgren the other day, missing a couple of key free throws. They're young and they're showing their youth in the worst way and at the worst time. I'm not sold on either team right now. I like Denver. I like the Joker. Joker's the best player in the world. I think we can all agree on that. But I think both teams are vulnerable, and the games are not as impressive as I'd like them to be. And Ant has not played that well either. He's showing his youth as well. So that's how I'm seeing it. I'm seeing two teams that are kind of struggling to identify who they really are. Oklahoma City, young. Denver used to be. And that's what I'm seeing.
But aren't they really like two good teams playing each other? And I could tell you both SGA and Joker each have had two good games. Joker was good game one, and last night SGA good game.
He's also played poorly by his standard.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Both of them by their standards. Now here's the thing. I give credit to both of their defenses. If you look at what Denver's doing, they're playing a boxing one. You will see 2 or 3 people on SGA all the time. They're going to really say somebody else has got to beat us. He's not driving to the hoop like he normally does. It's all jump shots for him.
If SGA is the MVP of the league, he overcomes that. I'm sorry.
No, you know, I love the fact that I love the narratives. If you like a guy, then you say what Larry just said.
No, I'm
watching the same game.
Let me finish my point. With Joker, they're sending double teams from him from unusual angles. Joker has more turnovers than he has assists. That doesn't happen with him. Both teams are playing great defense. They are not letting SGA drive. He is not. That boxing one is stifling him, and it's successful if nobody else hits. Last night, Tort finally hit some 3-pointers. If he hadn't done that, they would have won that game. Now SGA did hit some jumpers down the stretch after there was a scramble thing, but they're doing that and they're keeping him from going to the hole. He's not getting to the free throw line. Joker started hitting shots.
Michael Jordan wasn't ever stopped, was he? That's all.
They're not as good.
Brunson ain't stopped. Tatum ain't stopped. Donovan Mitchell ain't stopped.
Halliburton ain't stopped.
Hold on.
Look at those two teams.
Let me get it in. Larry likes SGA. That's why he's creating these.
No, Chuck, I like Joker too. I'm looking at
not
what
making excuses for him. You're making excuses for
I'm not making any excuses for anybody. They are stopping
Yes,
him.
you are.
They're stopping him. He's had 2 good games, just like Joker. 2 good games. They're stopping both of them.
Well, I think you've got some points to make. And
Yeah, they're stopping.
defense is up. But if you are the MVP, you have the 2 players
Lou
who are
Dort,
the
hey,
MVP
Andrew.
candidates, and they
Dort.
both are struggling. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Both teams have come to the point where they want somebody else to beat them, and they're selling out on that. And they've done a good job on both of those guys. Last night,
Like I said, when Denver, that game, one of those games that Denver won was very impressive because Aaron Gordon was making shots down the stretch. Michael Porter made shots down the stretch. Westbrook had made some shots earlier in that game. Murray hit some shots. That's important for Denver to spread it out because they are going to send two people at Joker on occasions, especially in the fourth quarter. Those other guys got to make shots. The other day they didn't make them.
And
They just
that's
didn't make
what
them, Larry. Denver just didn't make shots.
and OKC needs Williams to do it. And he had a horrible game. Well, he didn't actually do that well last night.
Right. But the game before that, he was really bad.
Yeah.
Right. And by the way, the guy Hartenstein's been missing that little baseline left-hand floater shot too. But
And they're not getting anything. They're not getting anything from Holmgren.
Right. But they are guarding the two of them, Holmgren and Hartenstein, are guarding Joker well.
I was about to say.
That's two.
They're playing great defense on him, and when they're sending a double team, they're rotating very well. And Joker, like last night, he didn't throw it away a lot. But the other games, he's throwing it out of bounds or right to them.
Yeah, and he's getting none of his shots. Joker's getting none of his shots.
Yeah,
Last night was his breakthrough. I mean, as far as shooting the ball. But they're still doing a good job of keeping
it's a great
him
series. It's a great series.
It is. It really is.
To me.
So my thing, Chuck, is I think both teams are playing great defense, and I think I hadn't seen that. Well, I guess they both have reputations for being pretty good defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
I know OKC does, but they're both playing. They're not letting that one person beat them, and that's and when you see every time you watch SGA, normally he gets to the free throw line 15 times a game. He's not getting there in the series.
Well, I don't watch him normally like you do, but I have watched him closely in this series.
He's not driving. He's not driving.
Last night he was really special in closing out the game.
But still jump shots. Still jump shots. I mean, he finally hit some jumpers. He normally gets to that free throw line.
Yeah, he does.
And Joker finally came through last night because I think the game before he was like over 10 for 3 or something like that. He was everything he was throwing up went in.
Remember, they don't have their head coach, Denver. You know what I'm saying? They're doing it with Joker and this other guy who's the assistant. So
the assistant's been with the team for 8 years.
Yeah, David Edelman. David Edelman's doing a really good job. He's doing a really good job with them. As a matter of fact, I'm starting to think he might have been the mastermind behind a lot of stuff because nothing's changed. They're even playing better. When a head coach leaves and a team stays the same or plays better, that's a good sign that maybe the head coach may not have been the criminal mastermind behind the thing.
Oh, he lost the locker room when you hear the grumbling coming out. They felt he was they just couldn't hear him anymore. He was abusive to them, and they didn't want to hear it anymore. So maybe get rid of
something to that. There's something to that.
It just seems strange from the outside when they were doing so well. Yeah. Okay.
It's a good series, just like the Knicks and Boston. I thought that was a great series too to watch.
Who's winning this series?
It's a good question. I still think Denver is going to figure out a way.
Yeah, I gotta go with OKC. They're just a more talented team, and they're gonna win in spite of their coach, Mr. Mark Daigneault. In spite of him, they're gonna win this series.
Now he coached them pretty well. They won 2 close games down the stretch.
They showed me something last night. Last night was impressive from fouling, free throws, getting back, doing the things that you need to do to close out. They showed something last night because the Nuggets made a run. They were charging. They were charging hard. They made a real run, and they held them off. So they showed something last night.
Who wins it, David?
Oklahoma City wins.
I missed a couple of comments. Let me put them up here.
Nigel said Denver is done. Andrew says they have their head coach. Mike Malone is no longer their head coach. Oh, so he's taking, yeah. That's brothers. San Antonio Spurs, what?
We might talk about them next year.
Maybe.
Tune in next December, Nigel.
Really? Maybe.
So this is something I want to throw out to you guys. And I heard this by one of the announcers. They said before the playoffs started, they thought the Knicks had the roughest path to get out of their conference. And I thought about that. That didn't seem to be the case to me. Do you guys think that they had the rough path? And the way they couched it before anybody had injuries, the Knicks were going to have to play both Cleveland and Boston. but I'm not sure that was the roughest route.
No.
And I'll tell you who I thought. I thought Indiana's route was rougher than this.
I did too. That was, I looked at the brackets, and if you look at the brackets, the Pacers, man, they had a tough, because whenever you're 4 and 5, you're right in that middle. It's not much. It's no difference between the 4 and the 5, and then you're going to have to eventually play all the top teams. Now, I thought the Pacers route was much tougher than the Knicks, much tougher.
Because they would have had to play those same two teams. Plus, they had to start off with the Bucks.
The Bucks come on, Larry. The Bucks were wounded, not that good.
No.
Detroit was tough. Detroit played New York tough.
Chuck, the premise was before injuries. That was the premise right there.
You mean before Dame got hurt?
Yeah, with everybody at full strength, they were saying they thought that the Knicks had the roughest time. Yeah, after injuries, that changed everything.
Changed it all. Yeah.
I still think the Knicks have had the roughest patch.
What do you think, David?
The roughest has been the Pacers.
They beat. Why do y'all say that?
Well, I think
before everything was settled, before the injuries, before the games were played, the Pacers were essentially written off. That they couldn't get this far. And who among us said that was not going to be the case?
Everybody amongst us. Everybody thought they were going to beat Milwaukee of this group, and they thought they were going to lose to Cleveland. Well, they flipped the script. They lost. They beat Cleveland, but everybody thought they were going to beat.
But they should have beat Cleveland. They've beaten Cleveland 7 out of 9 games this year.
And they would have had to play Boston because most people didn't think New York was going to beat Boston. So the same stuff that New York had to play, I think the difference is Detroit and Milwaukee.
Detroit should have beaten New York.
That's because
Detroit should have beaten New York.
Detroit just couldn't shoot. They just couldn't shoot the basketball.
Well, they got a game stolen from them as well.
Well, that too. Yeah, that foul.
Yeah, that matters.
Yeah.
Now in the West, I thought the Denver and Clippers would probably have a pretty rough time because those two were pretty good. Then
the Clippers have James Harden, who disappears when it matters.
Yeah, but that was a good matchup between Denver.
It's a good matchup for a couple of games
Right.
until it was
game
a
7,
clutch game. James Harden has done that his entire 17,
the fact that he got to game 7
career.
lets you know that was a good matchup.
That's true.
And then they would have had to
that's
play
true.
Oklahoma City in the next round. So I thought that was a pretty tough path for one of those teams. But I was surprised when I heard that the Knicks had the toughest, and they certainly had it was very competitive for them, and things broke for them. Okay. Who has been the best individual performer in the playoffs? Chuck, who do you
Big
say?
Body Brunson has been the best performer in the playoffs. And I shout out Donovan Mitchell. He had a couple of really great games there. Don't get me wrong, but Brunson from a consistency and what he's asked on that team to do in terms of the scoring load, Big Body Brunson, I think has been the best player so far.
What do you think, Greg?
So I had it down to 3 players: Joker, Brunson, and Halliburton. But I had to go with Brunson because 2 20-point deficit games, he was the driver behind the comeback. I mean, he stepped up big. They're down in this series if he doesn't step up. So I got to go with Fast Foot Brunson.
David, who do you think it was? What player was the best?
Tyrese Halliburton,
Okay.
a man who I have criticized heartily. He stepped up, and without Halliburton, the Pacers aren't where they are now.
I'm not sure of that.
Well, hold on. Let me finish my thought. You keep interrupting.
4 points one game.
Yeah, he did, and I criticized him for that.
Right.
But without Halliburton, the Pacers are not where they are. They've only lost 2 games in this playoff series. 2 games, 8-2.
I know I'm the narrator, so I had a real close thing between Brunson but I went with Donovan Mitchell. If you look at his whole playoff thing, he's probably got about 6 or 7 games where he scored over 30 points.
Well, yeah. Did they win?
Did they win?
Did they win?
He takes a lot of shots.
Did they win?
He takes a lot of shots.
They won some of those. No,
They won one.
He's had to do it. I think he's played well. Like the last couple of games, he's been, no legs, ankle, but he had about, I think, three or four games where he's got at least 30 points, 3 games where he's got 30 something, and in a couple where he's got 40 something. I mean, he's
Didn't matter
played well.
against the Pacers.
Huh?
It mattered nothing.
I didn't say his team won. he threw in 48 on them. That's a pretty good game.
Yeah, he did.
And they lost.
Well, Joker had 44 last
The
time.
question is who played well? What individual performance? Yeah, the Joker had a good game. Tatum had a great game. The game he got hurt.
Right.
The greatest
Yeah,
player in the
42,
history of the
I think he got
NBA
hurt.
scored 100 points in a game and grabbed 55 rebounds in a game, and yet he's not considered the best player of all time.
Look,
So statistically, let me finish.
My question was who
Statistics-
played the best? You're answering a different question. My
No,
question
I'm
was-
not.
Everybody,
No.
you said Halliburton.
I said
got
Halliburton.
Brunson. And who did you say, Greg?
I said
Brunson.
Brunson.
Well, it's
That's
three
Brunson.
against one. That's all right. And that we'll see what happens.
Wait a
next
minute.
round.
Chuck said Brunson.
Yeah, y'all,
That's
all
okay.
three, y'all ganged up on me. It's
Well,
okay.
no, I'll probably go with Mitchell, but I thought Brunson is up there. Just individual performances. Okay,
Halliburton.
and that's a good answer. I mean, he's played well.
Yes, he
Okay,
has.
Except for the game he had 4.
And that was a bad game.
And one of those
Anybody
games he had
can
11. One game he had 4, one game he had 11. It's the
Uh,
team. That team is unbelievable.
anybody can have a bad game. I mean, but Mitchell, he had 12 one game when especially when he got it in the first half. He played the second half, but I think he's played well. NBA draft. Thoughts on the outcome, David? Start with you.
It was fixed. And I'm glad it was fixed. Cooper Flag is going to be a great player, and they wanted to take care of Dallas. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist typically. I don't believe in the boogeyman, but in this particular case, I do remember when the Pacers got hosed and didn't get Patrick Ewing, the frozen envelope. NBA is capable of doing whatever they need to do, and they fixed Dallas. They got a player that's replacing Luka, who could become a generational great, Cooper Flag.
So
That wasn't an accident.
Why do they care about Dallas? That's the question I would ask.
Why not? Dallas, because Dallas is potentially moving to Las Vegas. They don't want that to happen.
Chuck, what are your thoughts on the lottery?
I'm going to defer to you guys because for some reason the lotteries and the drafts, they don't do nothing for me. So this falls under the category I don't care. And I don't think it was fixed. And I do think Oswald acted alone. So what do you want from me?
Oswald did not act alone. Stop.
Greg, what are your thoughts?
So if statistically they had a 1.8% chance of winning the lottery and they won it. Come on, man. That's as fixed as anything. It was no way they were supposed to win that, get that lottery. There's no chance. I mean,
So what were the best odds?
I think
You know what they were?
like
Washington?
14%.
14. Okay.
Right.
I was thinking 16%, but 14%. But 1.8, that's like, it's barely even visible. That's microscopic. You can't even see that. And they win it? Yeah, I don't know about that. Now,
So,
I don't know if I would keep
what is
that
the
draft.
motive behind it? What is the motive behind it? If you feel that your conspiracy theory,
that I'm not smart enough to figure out.
you gotta have a theory.
It's gotta be, well,
They wanted to fix Dallas and help Dallas.
they
keep
want Cooper
Dallas
Flag to go
in
somewhere
Dallas.
really that really needs a big star. This is Kyrie is, the earth is flat. He's a nut. I mean, you don't even know how long.
He's a star.
He's a star. He's a star, but he's
Davis.
unpredictable. You don't know how long he's going to be there or what he's going to do. He's going to wake up and feel like playing somewhere else. He's unpredictable. Cooper Flag, he can get that franchise back on the map, and they want him to be somewhere nice, big, open range, big money, and they can pay him well too. They can pay him well. They got room.
So
He
what's
is
wrong
the
with
Caitlin Clark of the NBA.
Yeah.
So
Stop,
what's
David.
what's wrong with New
David,
York?
David.
What's wrong with New York or Los Angeles?
Ooh.
What's wrong with Los Angeles?
Los Angeles too crowded, too many stars. Too many stars, too crowded, too crowded. And New York, oh no, New York would swallow him. New York would eat him alive.
Well,
That's
neither
a
one of
tough
them is
job.
in the lottery, so it have really been fixed if they had gotten it.
Oh, yeah, that would have been brutal.
Here's a trivia question. I know you guys are all experts. Who was the last white American to be drafted #1 overall?
Could it be Larry Joe Bird?
No,
He
he
wasn't
wasn't,
number one
drafted
draft
number
choice.
one. He was
Wasn't
drafted
number
a
one.
year in advance.
Yeah, supplemental draft.
The last white
Maybe it's a
American.
trick question. No, that couldn't be true. No, that couldn't be true.
Can it be biracial?
Kent Benson.
Andrew knows the
Kent
answer.
Benson.
Andrew knows the answer.
Benson. Kent
Huh?
Benson.
I was gonna say Andrew knows the answer. So
Wow.
Look at Andrew. Wow.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I'm a Hoosier and I
yeah,
knew that.
Chuck, I thought that was a gimme for you.
Yeah.
Good grief.
He wasn't
Wow.
even
Well,
on my
like I
radar.
said, I'm not a draft guy like most people are when it comes to sports. So I don't really,
Well, you were at IU when Kent Benson was
I
drafted.
sure was.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
absolutely was.
1977.
Did you know him?
No, I mean, I've known him, only just sort of know him, but I don't know him.
I
He was,
spoken to him.
think Cooper is finally going to break that streak. 1977. Gosh, what do we got?
That's a pretty, damn, that was a good one, Larry.
That's
Dang,
a
I
very
didn't even-
good one. I mean,
I
I
Kent
don't know
Benson-
who would usurp him as the #1 pick. Who would you pick before him? I can't think of anybody.
Well, I mean, he's a consensus #1 pick, so let's see if it goes.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody that would go before him.
Would you consider trading Giannis for him?
If you were Dallas,
Yeah,
Yes.
if you were Dallas, would
Yes.
you go to Milwaukee and make that trade?
yeah.
Chuck Snowden would absolutely.
I wouldn't
positively.
hesitate. I pull that trigger so fast, I would not
Immediately.
hesitate.
can't do it.
Mm.
I'm talking about. I'm not trying to get the money right and all that stuff because I know that's part of it. But if you're asking me,
Yeah,
I want Giannis and give them flag, absolutely would.
Oh yeah.
Giannis and AD not a good match together. Furthermore, Cooper Flag represents much more than just what's on the court, and that's valuable. We learned that last season in the WNBA.
How do we
I'm
learn
sorry.
that?
Caitlin Clark transformed the WNBA.
Flag
Whether
is
we
not
like-
like
whether we
Caitlin
like it or
Clark,
not.
David. Stop that. He's not like.
Well,
Caitlin Clark.
hold on. There has been a clamor for an American white player to be a superstar for more than 40 freaking years.
And he'll
Almost
be one wherever
50
he goes.
years.
Maybe.
I agree, Andrew. No, I mean, if he's going to be one, it doesn't have to be in Dallas, right?
Dallas is potentially moving to Las Vegas. That's a possibility because the ownership in Dallas that took over from what's his
Mark
name?
Cuban.
Mark Cuban.
From Mark Cuban are based, I think,
It is true.
in Vegas. And there's a chance that they'd move the team to Las Vegas. NBA doesn't want that.
Okay.
That's
Well,
a factor.
We're almost out of time, so I want to go real quickly with I'm sure you all heard Draymond Green's angry black man rant. You know, he thinks it's an agenda. I don't know. I didn't have the context of what question was asked of him or what he was responding to. But did you guys all hear his rant about?
Yeah,
I didn't hear it.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, well, let me. Greg, I'll start with you. Does he have a point? Does he David, what he suggested was there's an agenda. He didn't say by who to paint him as an angry black man. And he just essentially said, I'm not an angry black man, I'm an intelligent black man.
Well,
He
he
thinks-
is intelligent.
Yeah, the two
And
things
he's
don't
angry.
they don't necessarily have to, two things can be true.
And he's angry. He put a chokehold. He
Two
put a
things can be
chokehold.
true. Yep.
He punched
what do
the
you
guy
want
in
to say
the
about
face, his teammate in the face. What do you think? He's an angry black man.
So
Greg,
here's
what do
the
you
thing.
think?
I'm just mentally exhausted of Draymond Green. And it's a shame, right? Because I'm
Thank
tired
you.
of his temper tantrums, his dirty play at times. He's and the thing is, he goes so far overboard that he's this really intelligent guy that when he does say something intelligent, you don't hear it because all the other stuff that he does pops up and stays in the forefront. But I'm exhausted of him, man. He's exhausting.
Chuck, what do you think?
I think he was an angry black man when he responded to the question. Oh my God. Of course he's an angry black man, and of course he's intelligent, and of course he's a good father and a good, all those things are true.
All of that.
He's a good player.
But he is.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He comes off
But he did punch a teammate in the face.
His face is in the picture.
I mean, and the boy hasn't been the same since.
First teammate in the face, kick people in the groin, chokes Rudy Gobert.
I mean,
those are appetizers. Those are appetizers. The guy from Phoenix, there's a center from Phoenix, and he's going to
Newkirk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, time for closing comments. David, we'll start with you.
I have nothing to say other than
Basis. Okay. Greg, any closing comments?
Yes, and I'll make it real quick. So, although the ban was lifted on Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe due to their recent deaths, I say both of those guys are a no-go for the Hall of Fame, especially Pete Rose. Pete Rose, in our lifetime, admitted to gambling, although he says he never bet on his team to lose, which means he didn't throw a game. So that doesn't carry any water. And I'm tired of everybody trying to whitewash this guy and play the pity card for him. When you think of people like Hank Aaron, Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Reggie Jackson, Derek Jeter, Joe DiMaggio, he does not deserve to be mentioned in the same breath or hold space with those men of integrity that played their game the way it was supposed to be played and played it with integrity and never betted. I know we're in the league in the time of FanDuel and every betting site that you can, but you can't teleport him from then to now. When he did it, it was illegal, it was wrong then, and it's still wrong to bet on your sport. So no go. Pete, sorry, Charlie. Only the best tune to get the B-Star kiss.
Chuck.
So I'm going to close the cup. I'm going to lighten the load a little bit. That was a good one, Greg. I hear you. Mine is a four-legged athlete. I'm gonna give a shout out to the Secretariat. Let me tell you about this horse.
Nice.
In 1973, Big Red won the Derby, the Belmont, the Preakness. The record time for those three races are still the record time, and that was 1973. The reason she was unbelievable. The Belmont, please go to the Belmont Stakes race on YouTube. When they show that race at the end, the second horse is not even in the frame. It was how bad she beat her. The reason I bring this up is they just had the Kentucky Derby. Every horse, they had 19 of them. Every horse was from the Secretariat tree. Wow. Every single horse.
I did not know.
Well, wait a minute. One thing, just want to correct the record. Secretary was a he.
Okay.
That's what I was going to ask. Was it really a filly?
Right. But anyway, I just wanted to give Big Red a shout out, and he was just an incredible horse. I know it's a little odd, but I just wanted to make that point. I was shocked when I heard all 19 horses were a product of
that
Secretary history.
Incredible.
Well, my closing remarks is going to be on the NBA draft. Chuck, I'm not necessarily a big draft person, but what I liked about the NBA draft is that they do weight it. And at one time, they weighted it heavily for the teams that finished worst. Now, it's three teams that have a 14% chance of winning number one. That means they got an 86% chance of not getting it. Why do I like that? Because it discourages tanking. And now we have a culture in America where people are saying, oh, my team shouldn't have won that last game or something, particularly in football. I wish all leagues would weight their draft so there'd be more an incentive to win. And you can use everybody not in the playoffs like the NBA does. That's just my 2 cents. I hate tanking.
Good point.
Hey, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thanks, panel. You guys are great. And join us next week. David, are you hosting next week?
I am hosting next week.
Oh, you are?
Well, you'll get to hear David's production next week. So tune in next week at 7 o'clock on Wednesday to Real Fellas Talk Sports.
Good job, Larry. And thanks, everybody.